Student loan borrowers could get their loans forgiven a lot quicker than they originally thought. I'm going to talk about why in just a second. Before I do, please click subscribe to my channel if you don't already, and check out the link you see on your screen from a message from our sponsor, The Motley Fool. You can get the top 10 stocks to buy right now, and it's the best way to support this work I'm doing. So, student loan forgiveness has always been a thing. There's public service loan forgiveness, and before that, income driven repayment plans forgive any remaining balance after borrowers have made a certain number of payments. For those, it's either been 240 payments for people with just undergraduate loans or 20 years, or 25 years, or 300 payments for people who have any graduate school loans. Now, there's been a problem with the income driven repayment forgiveness system and the public service loan forgiveness system. And the big problem is, for one reason or another, there are a lot of months that it didn't count that it should have. For example, I had undergraduate loans that I took out in the early 2000s, 2001, 2002. And around 2010, I ended up consolidating those. Under the old system, it doesn't count. It didn't count some months that happened before you consolidated your loans. Even though I was in repayment at the time, it didn't count them. So in an effort to fix this kind of, mistake, the Biden administration and the Department of Education are doing a one-time adjustment to the number of payments that count toward loan forgiveness. And it's not just months that you actually made a physical payment on your student loans. As I'm going to talk about in a second, there's a lot that counts. So, as I mentioned, due to unfair practices and certain inaccuracies, a lot of borrowers just don't have an accurate payment count. So the Department of Education is going to count a few different things. In addition to all the payments they've already given people credit for, which when you've actually made a payment under an income-driven plan, something like that. So now you're going to be counted for any months that you were in any repayment status, even if you were in a repayment plan that didn't previously qualify, such as like the graduated repayment plans didn't used to qualify for this kind of stuff. And even if your payments were late, if you made a payment, 30 days late, it might not have counted under the original system, but now it does. It also counts any months in deferment other than in-school deferments that happened before 2013, as well as economic hardship or military deferments that took place after 2013. Student loans are relatively easy to defer if you're having a tough time paying them. So a lot of people had deferments that didn't count toward their repayment period. Now they do. And forbearance periods of 12 or more consecutive months or 36 or more total months will now count toward forgiveness. And just by the way, the COVID payment pause that we're coming to the end of now was technically a forbearance period. So now that is going to count toward your loan repayment status. And finally, any months that were in an eligible status prior to loan consolidation. I mentioned that I consolidated my undergraduate loans in about 2010. So any months before that where I was paying on my loans will now count toward loan forgiveness. So what does this all mean to you? Borrowers who have already met that 240-month threshold or 300 months for those with graduate loans could already be eligible for forgiveness. You might have seen the headline where $39 billion of student loans are forgiven for about 804,000 borrowers. That's the first round of this adjustment. The first adjustments were given to borrowers who have already met those time horizons, so we can see who's already eligible for loan forgiveness. And if it turns out that some of them were paying for more time than they had to, a lot of them could even get a refund. Beyond the people who have been paying for more than 240 months, if you got your student loans less than 20 years ago, you're not in that group. So if you're not in that group, more than 3.6 million borrowers will get at least 3 years of payment credit toward loan forgiveness. And as I mentioned, the 3.5-year COVID repayment pause will count as well. So hopefully you found this to be a good explanation. Combined with the SAVE plan that's coming up, it could be a lot easier for borrowers to get loan forgiveness than it previously was. If you have any questions, please do me a favor and leave them in the comments. I'll do my best to address them individually. There's a lot to unpack with student loans, so I'm sure I didn't get to everything in a 5-minute video. So thanks for watching. Once again, thank you so much for joining me. Be sure to click subscribe if you don't subscribe to my channel already. And as always, this video is sponsored by The Motley Fool. Be sure to visit www.fool.com/Frankel to receive the top 10 best stocks to buy now.